The ultimatum. The vast chamber of the Voidborn Collective hummed with the quiet conversations of 17 distinct species. Archinzeth, the eldest of the council and representative of the Nimari, stood at the center of the amphitheater. His crystalline exoskeleton refracted the light from the artificial sun above, casting prismatic patterns across the gathering of the most powerful beings in the known galaxy. "The humans have been observed for sufficient time," Zeth announced, his voice translated simultaneously into the neural interfaces of all present. "Their technological advancement curve suggests they will achieve independent multi-system colonization within 2 decades. The protocols of integration must be initiated." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Earth had achieved faster-than-light travel only 15 years ago, remarkably quick by galactic standards. Most species spent centuries confined to their home systems before mastering the gravitational manipulation necessary for efficient interstellar travel. "Their war patterns are concerning," observed Counselor Trevna, her gelatinous form pulsing with bioluminescent anxiety. "They achieved peace among their tribes only after developing weapons capable of planetary destruction." Zeth's crystalline appendages clicked thoughtfully. "All the more reason to implement the tribute system. We shall demand 1/3 of their most valuable resource, as is tradition." "And what might that be for such a species?" asked Ambassador Quill of the Arathi Dominion, his feathered crown rising with curiosity. "Their adaptability," Zeth replied. "Their capacity for warfare and innovation in the face of existential threats. We shall observe their response and determine if they are worthy of inclusion or containment." The assembly voted unanimously. Earth would be tested, as all potential members of the collective had been for the past 12,000 years. Captain Maya Santiago stood on the observation deck of the UDF Resilience, Earth's newest battlecruiser. Through the reinforced viewports, she watched as the alien vessel, massive and seemingly constructed of some impossible blend of metal and living tissue, maintained its position in high Earth orbit. "They're broadcasting again, Captain," Lieutenant Chen reported from his communication station. "Same message as before." Santiago's dark eyes narrowed. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the crystalline form of Archinzeth. The translation came through in a neutral synthetic voice. "People of Earth, the Voidborn Collective acknowledges your emergence as a spacefaring civilization. As is customary for all who join galactic society, we require tribute amounting to 1/3 of your most valuable resource. You have 7 standard rotations to comply. Representatives will arrive to collect what is due. This is not negotiable." The message ended abruptly. Santiago turned to find Admiral Ramirez entering the observation deck, his weathered face grim. "United Nations Security Council is in emergency session," Ramirez said without preamble, "along with the top brass from every space-capable nation. I need you there, Maya." Santiago nodded sharply. "What do we know about this collective, sir?" "Not enough," Ramirez admitted as they strode toward the shuttle bay. "Our long-range probes have detected 17 distinct civilizations operating within their claimed territory, technological capabilities far beyond our own. Worlds transformed, stars harnessed, and they want our most valuable resource." Santiago's tone was skeptical. "Water, uranium, biological diversity." Ramirez's expression darkened. "I think they want our submission, Captain. The question is whether we're going to give it to them." The chamber beneath the United Nations complex in Geneva buzzed with tension. Representatives from every nation, with spacefaring capability, sat around the massive circular table. The United States, China, Russia, the European Federation, India, Japan, Brazil, and the newly formed African Space Alliance. Dr. Eleanor Wu, Earth's leading xenoanthropologist, stood before the assembled leaders, her analytical voice cutting through the anxious murmurs. "Based on the limited data we've gathered, the Voidborn Collective appears to function as a tiered hierarchy of civilizations," she explained. "New members occupy the lowest tiers, with privileges and rights accorded based on technological advancement, resource contribution, and military capability. So this tribute demand, it's an entrance fee. Asked the Chinese premier, his expression skeptical. More like a test, Dr. Wu clarified. They're assessing how we respond to asymmetric power dynamics. The U.S. president leaned forward. What are our options here, people? Do we comply, negotiate, or tell them to go to hell? Admiral Ramirez cleared his throat. Madam President, with your permission, I'd like Captain Santiago to present the Defense Force's assessment. Santiago stood, adjusting her uniform. At 38, she was relatively young for her position, but 15 years of leading humanity's first extrasolar expeditions had made her uniquely qualified for first contact scenarios. Distinguished leaders, she began, her voice steady. We've run simulations based on our current military capabilities versus what we can observe of the collective's technology. In a direct confrontation, we would be significantly outmatched. A heavy silence fell over the room. However, Santiago continued, there's another perspective to consider. This demand is deliberately vague. 1/3 of our most valuable resource without specifying what that resource is. This suggests the demand itself is a form of intelligence gathering. The Russian president's eyes narrowed. What are you suggesting, Captain? I'm suggesting we answer them on our terms, not theirs. Santiago activated the central holographic display, showing a fleet formation. We send a response fleet. Not our biggest ships, not our most advanced technology, but enough to demonstrate that humanity won't be intimidated into submission. A military response. The Indian Prime Minister looked alarmed. That could be perceived as an act of war. Not military, sir. Diplomatic, but from a position of strength. Santiago zoomed in on the lead vessel in her proposed formation. The UDF Resilience as the flagship, accompanied by 14 vessels representing each major spacefaring nation. We bring a counteroffer instead of tribute. Dr. Wu nodded slowly. It's consistent with what we know of emerging species psychology. Demonstrate resolve without direct aggression. And if they decide to simply obliterate our fleet, the European Federation Chancellor's question hung in the air. Santiago's expression remained impassive. Then they would have revealed their true intentions, and we would need to prepare accordingly. But I don't believe that's their aim. If they wanted conquest, they wouldn't bother with tribute demands. Admiral Ramirez stepped forward. There's one more factor to consider. He looked around the room, ensuring the advanced security protocols were active. Project Prometheus. Several leaders shifted uncomfortably. Project Prometheus had been humanity's most closely guarded secret, a theoretical weapons system that leveraged the same principles that made FTL travel possible. It's no longer theoretical, Ramirez announced. The prototype was successfully tested last month. If installed on the Resilience, it would give Captain Santiago a significant deterrent. The Brazilian president shook her head. We agreed that technology would be developed only as a last resort, which is exactly what we're facing, Santiago countered. I'm not proposing we threaten the collective, but if we're walking into their territory, we should have a card they don't know we hold. For hours, the debate raged. Nations with more advanced space capabilities pushed for resistance, while others advocated for compliance. But as the alien vessel maintained its silent vigil above Earth, a consensus gradually formed. Very well, the U.S. President finally declared. Captain Santiago will lead our response delegation. Each nation will contribute one vessel to the fleet. The Prometheus system will be installed on the Resilience as a contingency only. Her gaze swept the room. We go not to threaten war, but to secure peace, on equal terms. Santiago stood at attention. When do we depart, Madam President? The alien message gave us 7 days. You leave in 5. The President's expression was resolute. Show them what humanity's most valuable resource truly is, Captain. Yes, Mom. Santiago nodded, already calculating the preparations needed. Our capacity to stand united when threatened. 5 days later, Earth's response fleet assembled in high orbit. 16 vessels of varying designs and capabilities, each bearing the flags of their nations alongside the unified Earth emblem created specifically for this mission. The UDF Resilience led the formation, its sleek hull housing not only the Prometheus system, but also a carefully prepared diplomatic team. Santiago stood on the bridge, watching as the final vessel, Japan's Amaterasu, took its position. "All ships report ready, Captain," Lieutenant Chen announced. "Transmit coordinates to the fleet," Santiago ordered. "Initiate synchronized FTL on my mark." The navigation officer looked up. Coordinates locked for the Voidborn Collective Central Station, as broadcast in their message. Santiago took a deep breath, feeling the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. "Send one final message to Earth Command. We carry the hopes of humanity. We will return with dignity intact." The communications officer nodded confirmation. "All ships, prepare for synchronized jump." Santiago gripped the command rail. Mark. In perfect unison, 16 vessels representing the united will of humanity disappeared into the folded space between stars, carrying not tribute, but a message that would forever change humanity's place in the galactic order. The Reckoning. The journey took 36 hours, even with the advanced FTL drives pushing their capabilities to the limit. When the Earth fleet emerged back into normal space, they found themselves facing a structure that defied comprehension. The central station of the Voidborn Collective. It wasn't merely a space station. It was an artificial world, a vast spherical construction that appeared to be built around and throughout an asteroid field. Multiple suns, likely engineered stellar bodies, orbited the construct, bathing it in perpetual golden light. Ships of countless designs moved through this system like blood cells through arteries, a testament to the scale and diversity of the collective. "Mother of God," whispered Lieutenant Adams from the tactical station. His sensors were struggling to make sense of the readings. "That station is approximately the size of Earth's moon." Santiago maintained her composure, though internally she shared the crew's awe. "Maintain formation. All ships hold position at current coordinates." "We're being hailed, Captain," Chen reported. "Multiple frequencies. Put the primary channel through." The holographic display flickered to life, showing not Arkanzeth, but a different entity, a being that appeared to be composed of swirling blue-green gas contained within a humanoid-shaped energy field. "Earth vessels," the being's translated voice resonated through the bridge. "You have entered collective sovereign space. Identify your purpose." Santiago stepped forward. "I am Captain Maya Santiago of the United Defense Force vessel Resilience. We come in response to Arkanzeth's demand for tribute from Earth." A pause. Unexpected. "The standard protocol is to transmit tribute coordinates and await collection vessels. Earth has chosen to deliver its response personally," Santiago replied evenly. "We request an audience with the Archon and the Council." Another pause, longer this time. The gaseous being seemed to be consulting someone off-screen. "Proceed along the transmitted vector," the being finally instructed. "Docking cradles will accommodate your vessels. Security protocols will be enforced." The transmission ended, and navigation data streamed into the Resilience's computers. "They're giving us an approach corridor," the navigation officer confirmed. "Looks like they're clearing other traffic for us." Santiago nodded. "Transmit the approach pattern to the fleet. Maintain tight formation." And Lieutenant Adams, "Keep the Prometheus system on standby, but dormant. Let's not show our hand unless absolutely necessary." "Aye, Captain." As the Earth fleet approached the massive station, Santiago couldn't help but feel like they were minnows swimming into the mouth of a leviathan. The scale of the technology surrounding them made Earth's most advanced achievements seem primitive by comparison. "Receiving automated docking instructions," Chen reported. "They're surprisingly compatible with our systems." Santiago's eyes narrowed. "They've been studying us more thoroughly than we realized. Proceed with docking sequence, but maintain essential systems on independent power. I don't want us completely at their mercy." One by one, the Earth vessels were secured in massive docking cradles, designed to accommodate ships of varying sizes and configurations. As the mechanical arms locked the resilience in place, Santiago addressed the crew. We stand here not just as representatives of our individual nations, but as ambassadors for all of humanity. Stay sharp, follow protocols, and remember, we came here to establish respect, not to provoke conflict. A delegation of beings awaited them when the airlock opened, representatives of at least 7 different species, each more alien than the last. A tall insectoid creature stepped forward. Captain Santiago, I am Trillax, diplomatic liaison. The Council awaits your delegation in the Grand Chamber. Your secondary vessel's representatives may accompany you. Santiago nodded. Thank you, liaison Trillax. We are prepared. The journey through the station was a calculated display of the collective's power and diversity. They passed through vast gardens where plants from 1,000 worlds grew together, markets where species of indescribable variety conducted trade, and engineering sections where technology operated on principles that Earth's best scientists would struggle to comprehend. Finally, they arrived at the Grand Chamber, an enormous amphitheater where representatives of all 17 collective species sat in tiered arrangements. At the center stood Archon-Zeth, his crystalline form gleaming under the chamber's light. The Earth delegation approaches, announced Trillax, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. Santiago led her team forward, 15 captains and their diplomatic officers, representing Earth's united front. They stood before the council, neither bowing nor showing deference, but maintaining respectful posture. Humans of Earth, Archon-Zeth's translated voice filled the chamber. You have chosen an unusual response to our simple request for tribute. Explain yourselves. Santiago stepped forward. Archon-Zeth, honorable representatives of the Voidborn Collective, we come before you neither as supplicants nor as adversaries, but as equals seeking mutual understanding. A murmur ran through the assembly at the word equals. Several representatives displayed visible signs of what Santiago interpreted as indignation. You were asked for tribute, 1/3 of your most valuable resource, Zeth stated, his tone hardening. This is the way all species enter the galactic community. It has been thus for 12,000 years. With respect, Archon, Santiago replied, Earth received your demand, but found it imprecise. You failed to specify what you consider our most valuable resource. That is for you to determine. Another council member interjected, a being with multiple eye stalks and tentacles. The choice reveals much about a species' self-understanding. Santiago nodded. Then we have made our determination. Earth's most valuable resource is not our water, not our minerals, not even our genetic diversity. It is our independence and our unity in the face of external pressure. She gestured to the captains beside her. 15 years ago, these nations were rivals, some even enemies. Yet when faced with the vastness of space, we found common purpose. When confronted with your demand, we stood together. This fleet represents 1/3 of Earth's United Space Defense Force, not as tribute, but as demonstration. The chamber erupted in multiple conversations, some clearly outraged, others seemingly impressed. Zeth raised a crystalline appendage, and silence fell again. You misunderstand the nature of tribute, he stated coldly. You bring warships instead of submission. This could be interpreted as aggression. Not aggression. Archon. Determination. Santiago's voice remained steady. We bring not just ships, but a counteroffer. She nodded to her diplomatic officer, who activated a holographic display. It showed images of Earth's achievements, medical breakthroughs, environmental restoration projects, art and music, and scientific advancements. Earth proposes an exchange of knowledge and culture, rather than one-sided tribute. We offer partnerships in research, trade agreements beneficial to both parties, and cultural exchange programs. We seek to join galactic society as contributors, not as subjects. A new voice spoke, cool, melodic, and somehow ancient. Fascinating. All eyes turned to a previously silent council member, a being that appeared almost human except for the subtle glow emanating from within its skin and its completely silver eyes. "I am Ilara of the Luminar," she introduced herself. "We were the third species to join what became the Collective, over 9,000 years ago." She studied Santiago with evident curiosity. "In all that time, only 2 other species have responded as you have." Zeth shifted uncomfortably. "Elder Ilara, this is a standard tribute assessment." "Is it?" Ilara interrupted, her silver eyes fixed on Zeth. "Or has the assessment become corrupted over time? The tribute system was created to evaluate new species' understanding of sacrifice and cooperation, not to establish dominance hierarchies." She rose, her form seeming to float rather than walk as she approached the Earth delegation. "What is installed on your flagship, Captain Santiago?" "Our sensors detect an energy signature unlike anything in our databases." Santiago hesitated, then decided honesty was the best strategy. "It's called the Prometheus system, a defensive technology that can temporarily disrupt the gravitational constants within a localized area." Gasps echoed through the chamber. Even Zeth's crystalline form seemed to briefly lose its rigidity. "You possess such technology?" Trillax asked, his mandibles clicking rapidly. "But your civilization has had FTL capability for only 15 years. 17, Santiago corrected. "And necessity is the mother of invention. We developed it as a last resort, never as a first option." Ilara's expression was unreadable, but her voice carried a note of what might have been approval. "You come armed with both a weapon that could devastate the station and a proposal for peaceful cooperation. Truly, you are an enigma, humans." She turned to face the council. "I move that the tribute demand be withdrawn, and the humans' counter-proposal be considered in its place." The chamber erupted again, this time in more heated disagreement. Several council members rose in protest, while others seemed to be considering Ilara's words carefully. Zeth's voice cut through the chaos. "This is unprecedented. The tribute system has stood for too long without examination," Ilara finished for him. "The collective has grown stagnant, Arkan. We demand tribute but forget its purpose. We assess but no longer learn. Perhaps these humans have something to teach us." Santiago watched this internal division with keen interest. It confirmed what Earth's analysts had suspected. The collective was not as monolithic as it presented itself to be. "May I address the council?" she requested. Ilara nodded, though Zeth seemed reluctant. "Honorable representatives," Santiago began, "Earth does not reject the concept of contribution. We simply believe that true cooperation must be built on mutual respect, not demanded submission. The fleet behind me represents our resolve, but the proposal before you represents our hope." She looked directly at Zeth. "You sought to test us with your demand. Consider that test answered. Now we offer one in return. Can the Voidborn Collective evolve beyond ancient protocols to embrace new possibilities?" A long silence followed. Santiago could feel the weight of 17 civilizations' scrutiny upon her, and the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. Finally, Zeth spoke, his tone measured. "The purpose of the tribute system has always been assessment, not acquisition. Humans have indeed been assessed." He seemed to choose his words carefully. "Your response suggests a species of both capability and principle. Rare qualities, indeed." He turned to address the council. "I propose a middle path. The tribute demand is suspended. Earth will be granted provisional membership in the collective, with full rights to be determined after a probationary period of cultural and technological exchange." Ilara nodded approvingly. "I second the proposal." The vote that followed was not unanimous, but the majority supported Zeth's compromise. Santiago felt a weight lift from her shoulders, though she maintained her composed exterior. "Earth accepts these terms," she stated formally. "We look forward to a productive relationship." As the formal proceedings concluded, Ilara approached Santiago privately. "You took an enormous risk coming here, Captain." Santiago met the ancient being's silver gaze. Less risk than surrendering our autonomy without question. Indeed. Ilara's expression shifted to something like amusement. You should know that the two other species who responded as you did now sit on the High Council, the Luminar and the Erethi. Santiago recalled the feathered ambassador quill. So this truly was a test. All of life is a test, Captain Santiago. Ilara's voice grew softer. But yes, one designed to separate those who will enrich our community from those who merely occupy space within it. Remember that when you eventually take your place among us. As Santiago and her delegation returned to their vessels, carrying formal documentation of Earth's new status, she reflected on Ilara's words. Humanity had faced its first galactic challenge, not with submission or aggression, but with determined dignity. Set course for Earth, she ordered once all ships reported ready. We have quite a story to tell. The fleet disengaged from the Masset station, 16 ships moving in perfect formation. As they prepared for the jump back to their home system, Santiago gazed once more at the cosmic metropolis they were leaving behind. Humanity had arrived at the galactic stage, not as servants or subjects, but as equals with something valuable to contribute. The stars no longer seemed cold and distant, but full of possibility, and humanity was ready to claim its place among them.